Hey everybody, this is Miss Florida Hot Picks here. I wanted to share with you backtracking for the state of Maine and their sister states, New Hampshire and Vermont. We actually got 2 hits off this list, and I want to share with you how you may want to look at your rundowns after this is posted to kind of see which numbers could be traveling, which numbers could be hot for you to look at, right? I get so many questions. Miss Florida, how do we know what numbers to choose? Well, I'm going to start with Maine here. I thought this was a really nice example, so hopefully you guys will follow along and start backtracking your states as well. Okay, when there is a hit that comes off of the state prediction list, pay close attention, start tracking, because you never know what patterns you're going to find. Okay, so I want you guys to pay attention to December 3rd evening. Maine had a hit of 432. Now, out of this hit, 3 days later, on December 6th midday, there was a hit of 935. Notice how it comes right along those triples. And then it comes across as 125. But what are some of the clues that could have let us know how these numbers or how important those numbers could have been in the upcoming days? So I have here some tracking. Excuse me. So we have here Maine. Okay, this is the last few days of Maine, and I want you to see this because this serves as a tutorial to train you to make sure you're keeping a daily log of your rundowns. The reason why you need to do that is because you need to see how numbers are traveling, how patterns are forming. Sometimes people want to just use the last draw and say, hey, I know I'm going to get me a hit. And then sometimes you realize the numbers that just hit the next draw don't quite match up to the last draw, right? Sometimes they work out perfectly, sometimes they don't. Okay. When I use the state prediction list, guys, I look for triples that are slanted. And the reason why I do that, because I notice with a lot of the states, there are hits literally coming straight across those rundowns or along those triples. And this is a perfect example of that. So again, going back to December 3rd, the hit was 432. We put it in the 317 rundown. So let's start right here. Let's get some basics out the way. How do we put a rundown together? In case you're new, you don't know how to do that. Well, let's take the number 432. You put the last hit in the rundown. We're using 317, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to add each number down the lines. So the first number, we're going to add 3. So 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. Now when you get to your 2-digit numbers, only use your ones plus your 0, okay? 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. Just use your 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. Use your 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. Easy, right? Yeah. So the number you start with should be the number you end with. And then we're going to add 1 all the way down the second column, 7 all the way down the third column. Okay? So when I was putting the prediction list together, I used this particular rundown. I predicted that the numbers either going across would be hot, okay, or the numbers slanted would be hot, okay? And, well, 2 hits came from this list. How did that happen? I want you to pay attention to the 111. Here's one thing I've learned, especially from the state of Georgia. Sometimes hits will come straight along connected to the triple. So we have a 111. We also have its mirror 666. This is important. I want you guys to make sure you know what mirror numbers are now. So you know how to count the rundowns, okay? You know how to identify a slanted triple. They're not going to be on every draw. You're not going to see them every day, okay? That's why when you see them, pay attention to them. They're not going to always be straight triples. Sometimes they'll be false triples, like you see this 494. This is why you need to know what mirrors are, so you don't miss this. Okay, so let's talk about mirrors. Mirrors are the same number, they're just opposite of themselves. So just like this 6 and this 1, 6 and 1, actually the same, just opposite. All right. So here are the mirrors as follows. A 0 could be a 5, or 5 could be a 0. 1 could be a 6, 6 could be a 1. 2 can be a 7, 7 could be a 2. 3 could be an 8, 8 could be a 3. 4 can be a 9, and a 9 can be a 4. Okay, so here, if you look at the number straight across, you got a 056 that's connected to that triple. Its mirror is 501. What people don't know is after a certain part of the rundown, all of the numbers are mirrored. You don't kind of know all the time, depending on your state's patterns, where they're going to go. Okay, are they going to move up with those numbers or the mirrored numbers down? Sometimes people don't know. The 363 could also be an 818. The 670 could be a 125. So the first thing I want to teach you about triples is this, that sometimes the numbers that are hot will come straight across. Let's look at the 125. Again, it's connected to the triple 1. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to this number. I tell you guys in the video, hopefully you guys will start paying attention in the state prediction video. I tell you, pay attention to numbers that keep running across your rundown, okay, from this list. This actual rundown could be used as a hot picks list of numbers going across. They're not in any particular order, okay, like 432, 749, 056, 363, 670, 987. See, these are all hot numbers. 294, 501, 818, 125. So what I'm telling you guys about triples is sometimes, depending on your state, the numbers can hit straight across. Georgia is very similar to this. Okay, so pay attention to the areas I'm telling you guys to start studying. That 125 showed up again. Remember, I told you after I post the state predictions, your job is to keep track of a daily log. If you see one of these numbers, for example, that's connected to that triple and they show up again, you better be paying attention. So 125 showed up on December 4th, the next draw. The hit was 907. You see 521. Okay, but don't just look at the 521. You see that its mirror 670 is 076. This is telling me, guys, pay attention to the numbers. They showed up under the triple, which is very important. They manifest themselves once again, and they came straight across. They repeated themselves. Yes, it was a different order, but it was telling you to pay attention. How many of you guys have been sleeping on that? I know. I have too. We can't afford to keep doing that. I've missed quite a few hits from Florida with my own state prediction list because I don't keep track of the charts. You got to continue to see what's moving. I want to bring your eyes to December 6th. Now watch this. This is where you're going to need to know mirrors. Now this 935 hit gave us a 949 false trip. Remember, I told you, pay attention to these numbers if they're running across, but also pay attention to those numbers if they're slanted again under a false triple. Okay, so if you didn't know what I meant by that, now you will. Pay attention to these numbers, 256 and 701. Okay, why? Because they're the exact mirrors of 521 and 076. But if you don't know what mirrors are, if someone's telling you there's no such thing, y'all be careful with that. This right here was your indicator that they were about to come. And it hit that evening 125. This was your indicator. This was your indicator. Okay? So you had two indicators breaking down those list of numbers. You saw 125, 075 came back. Then, to kind of fool you off a little bit, they mirrored them under another false trip. And then they finally hit as 125. If this is not an eye-opener to traveling numbers and how they mirror stuff and how they try to fool you, if I don't have a better example, I don't know what else to tell you. These are the things that I'm talking about. So we have to be mindful. And some states, they're not as simple as this. I get that. I know, Miss Floyd, but you don't understand. But pay attention to your state's patterns. Whenever you guys see your state hitting off of any of the prediction lists, start to study where they are, okay? I cannot stress that enough. This is a perfect example of how they started. They came back, they mirrored, and they hit. But that wasn't the only hit. 9359 hit 935. So Maine, you guys not only have numbers going across, the pattern is also 359. Look at that. But I got more for you, okay? I want you to start paying attention to the date number. Look at the date number. The date number is 6. Now, why do I need you to know mirror numbers? 6 can also be a 1, right? Now, I know people love date sum numbers. I get that. I'm noticing more and more that sometimes the date itself could be an indicator of when these numbers could possibly hit. Did you hear me? Let me know in the comments if you heard me. Sometimes, not just the date sum number, but the date number could be an indicator. So now let's talk about another type of indicator. Not just the numbers mirroring and showing up, but let's talk about a time when these numbers could be hot to even play. This is why you study, so you can go deeper. What are the numbers that are on the slant? 6 and 1. What is the date number? That's December 6th, or it could also be December, or it could also be the number 1. Those are your date numbers, okay? So we're going to make sure we know that. So if this December 6th, you're going to take the ones place. This is now your date number. Sometimes they're referenced as day number. Okay? It's a little bit different than a date sum. Okay? But I'll show you what a date sum is. Let's say we take the month and the date. We add them together. We get the number 18. 8. The number 8 in the ones place will be your date sum number. So why am I sharing all this with you? Start finding out what was your indicator for those numbers to be hot. Sometimes an indicator could be in the form of a triple or a date number in the form of a triple. You got to use everything you have, because this information, these numbers are not here for any reason. Trust me when I tell you, every number has a purpose, and every number is trying to tell you something. The question is, my dears, are you listening? Are you following that? So let's go back over that in case I lost anyone. I hope I didn't. December 6th was the actual date or day number. Those triples are important. This was your indicator. You had several indicators letting you know possibly some hot numbers. Look at that. So not only the 359, but the 125, because it was connected to the triple as well. Right? So Maine, what are you guys going to do? Whenever you see a triple, start studying. Okay? Start studying. If you happen to see any of these numbers that are slanted or come across, come back across or slanted, even if it's in its mirrored form. Okay? And I'm telling you, you may start sparking even more patterns. Well, I hope this was fun. Thank you guys for backtracking Maine with me. If you have any questions, let me know. Was this exciting or what? I hope this was an eye-opener for a lot of us pick 3 players in here. Well, anyways, I enjoyed this. I hope that you guys are following the workout videos and the predictions here. We're having a ball. We are having a ball. Anyways, guys, I'll see you on the next video.